When we feel wronged, we immediately look to the other for blame. We perceive ourselves as the victim. Something has been done to us, the innocent. We have a right to demand justice, and we believe that justice has been accomplished only when we can hurt those who hurt us, disappoint those who disillusioned us, and make suffer those who have injured us and given us pain. They must experience our revenge at once, and preferably continue to experience it forever. We're certain that wrong will be righted only in this way. Only then will the slate be wiped clean and our pain disappear. After all, we rationalize, it was the other's fault. Aren't we always sure that it was the other's fault? Why should we be the one to suffer? We seek revenge because we know that the experience will be sweet. But is it? How many of us have gone to great pains to avenge a wrongdoing, only to find that we have accomplished little more than finding ourselves loveless and alone? What satisfaction can there be in causing another to suffer if our pain still remains? What is the use of demanding an eye for an eye when, having plucked out the other's eye, we still have only one? When wronged by those we love, we often devalue years of relationship, a relationship that may have brought us many joys and which required much intellectual and emotional energy to have lasted so long. Still, with one harsh statement, a thoughtless act, or an unfeeling criticism, we're capable of destroying even the closest of our relationships. We quickly forget the good and set out to rationalize scenarios of hate. We do this instead of taking up the challenge of honest evaluation and confrontation. We ignore the possibility that in the act of forgiving and showing compassion, we are very likely to discover new depths in ourselves and new possibilities for relating in the future. But we're too proud. We engage in self-defeating activities which keep us from forgiving. Beliefs that if we withdraw and run from the situation, we will hurt the other, and absence will heal us. The fantasy that in avoidance there can be closure. The naive hope that in hurting, shaming, blaming, and condemning, we will be made to feel better. We fail to realize that when we refuse to engage in forgiving behaviors, it's we who assume the useless weight of hate, pain, and vengeance, which is never ending and weighs upon us rather than the wrongdoer. Of course, forgiving is not an easy process. Our rational mind can't quickly break through the complex web of feelings which overcome us when we're wronged. It seems easier to look for ways to escape our pain. Rather than deal with it, we blame, we accuse, we condemn, we exclude, and we damn. Forgiveness can never be realized in an atmosphere of accusation, condemnation, anger, and fault-finding. We will only begin to forgive when we can look upon the wrongdoers as ourselves, neither better nor worse. We need to remember that we coexist as mortals in the world together, the wronged and the wrongdoer, and that in our common humanity, the situation could readily be reversed. It's difficult for us to imagine that in different circumstances we might have been a part of the Hitler Youth, or the sick and frightened psychopath who can't evaluate appropriate behavior. Yet this is so. We divide the world conveniently into the good and the bad and see ourselves as being on the good side, distancing us from the other. Yet only in identifying with the other can the process of understanding and forgiveness truly begin. People get angry if someone suggests that they could be a part of any behavior harmful toward their fellow human beings, yet innocently they do so every day. They ignore anti-pollution laws. They refuse to accept responsibility for inferior education, world hunger, the loneliness of their neighbors, the ill treatment of children and the elderly. They're only too ready to condemn politicians, the activists, the communists, or anyone else rather than accept their own thoughtlessness. They're too caught up in the self to evaluate their own prejudicial, hurtful, and negative attitudes. If we are perceptive, we will find that either by choice or unconsciously, each of us engage almost daily in some wrongdoing. But this doesn't mean that we're evil or that we lose our worth as loving human beings. One act is never sufficient reason to devalue a total person. There are good people who see their political, social, and religious beliefs as right and sound, and who feel free to engage in self-righteous wars which kill thousands of innocent individuals. They rationalize this by seeing these individuals as their enemies who threaten their security and their beliefs. The My Lai massacre is a case in point. It's too simplistic to condemn everyone who participated in this disgrace as evil or worthless human beings. It's more difficult to try to evaluate the circumstances that could result in causing good people to behave in evil ways. We will only understand and forgive when we perceive these individuals with compassion as feeling and vulnerable human beings like ourselves, capable of weakness, confused idealism, fear, panic, cowardice, and frailty. Sympathetic understanding and heart and mind-felt identification with others are the necessary first steps in piercing the walls of unforgiving attitudes. This knowledge is repeated naturally over and over again in healthy, loving relationships. Parents often spend their lives overlooking their children's thoughtlessness. Children overlook their parents' possessiveness. Lovers squint at each other's faults and frailties. We do these things because we love individuals, and we know that we're not perfect either, because we see our long-range relationships as greater and more valuable than any momentary discomfort which a negative act or attitude may cause us. We continue to love those who hurt us from time to time because we know that they're valuable human beings, capable of good as well as of evil. We view them as human, open to the possibilities of change. And seeing them this way, our life is conducive to growth. Love is the single greatest source of forgiveness. And in love, we are able to view the wrongdoer as a worthy person. In love, we put the wrong in perspective and view the act apart from the person. We don't overreact. We strive through empathic behavior to erase the boundaries between wrongdoer and wronged, even when we do not understand the behavior. Through this process, we come together, renew our faith, better understand and strengthen our present, and move forward to trust again. Forgiveness, then, says Dr. Jampolsky, becomes the means for correcting our misconceptions. It allows us to see only the love in others and ourselves, and nothing else. This may sound more simple than it is, but before we devalue the process, let's look at the alternative.